Once upon a time there was a prince who liked to travel the world. The prince brought with him a loyal servant. One day they got lost in a dense forest. It was dusk and they still could N/39 see a house. They were worried about where they could sleep at night. As he was walking, he caught a glimpse of a girl and number 39's silhouette. Looking at her, he saw her walking toward a small house, with the prince quickly following. Coming closer and seeing the young and beautiful girl, the prince asked her, "Girl, is it okay if we want to sleep here tonight?" With a sad voice, the girl replied, "Yes, probably fine, but I advise you not to enter the house." The prince asked curiously, "Why shouldn't N/39 you enter the house?" The girl sighed and said, "My stepmother knows a lot of magic and often harms strangers from far away." The prince knew immediately that he had reached the witch and number 39's door. But he didn't N/39 know where to go as the sky became darker and darker. Since he was fearless, he just walked into the house. An old woman was sitting in an armchair next to a flickering fire, staring at the stranger with fiery red eyes. With a hoarse and weak voice, she warmly greeted her guests, "Please come to the guest house." Then she sat and blew the fire louder. On the stove she was cooking a pot of something. The girl reminded the two of them not to eat or drink anything, because she was cooking a poison. The two of them went to bed and slept until morning. When the two of them were preparing to leave, the prince was already sitting on the horse and number 39's back. Then the old woman ran out and said, "Wait a minute, I and number 39's get some wine to drink and then go." While she went into the house to get wine, the prince rode away, leaving only the servant still tying the saddle. The old woman came out and gave the cup of wine and said, "Bring the cup of wine to your master." As soon as her words ended, the wine cup exploded, glass and wine pieces were scattered everywhere, the poison immediately seeped into the horse. The medicine was so strong that the horse fell down and died on the spot. The servant quickly ran away to follow his master. He told his master what he had seen and heard. Not wanting to lose the precious saddle, the servant returned. When he got there, he saw a crow pecking at the horse and number 39's carcass. He whispered, "I wonder if I can find anything to eat today?" Saying that, he beat the crow to death and took it with him. The prince and his servant traveled all day but still could not get out of the forest. It was dusk when they saw an inn and the two of them walked in. The servant gave the innkeeper a crow to make a dish. This inn is actually a place for robbers. When it was time to eat, they sat at the table. After eating dinner, they planned to rob two strangers and kill them. The first dish they ate was soup. The owner himself brought minced crow meat to the soup pot. The crow and number 39's poison had seeped into the pot of soup, so before the plate of soup could be finished, both the innkeeper and the 12 robbers fell dead. The innkeeper and number 39's daughter was the only one who had not yet eaten, so she was still alive. She opened all the rooms and showed the prince the gold, silver and jewels that the robbers had collected. The prince told her to keep those things, and then he and his trusted servants set out. Walking and walking, they finally came to a certain capital city, where there was a concubine selection process. The princess is both beautiful and intelligent, but has an arrogant personality. Whoever gave her a riddle that she could N/39 solve, she would marry that person. If she could solve the riddle, the other person would lose his head. The princess is allowed to think for 3 days to solve the puzzle. But because she is intelligent, she can always solve the given puzzles. That and number 39's why 9 people lost their heads. Seeing the princess and number 39's splendid beauty, the prince became fascinated and willingly entered the palace to puzzle her. The prince gave a riddle, and quote, he did not hit anyone, but died 12. What is the riddle? And quote, the princess doesn't and #39 know what that means. She thought about it all day but could n and #39 figure it out. She took out her puzzle book and could n and #39 find it. She began to feel confused. She ordered a maid to sneak into the prince and number 39's bedroom to hear what the prince said while he was asleep. Maybe the words he said while he was asleep were the answers to the puzzle. The first night the servant slept in his master and number 39's bed. When he saw that the maid had just sneaked into the room, he immediately grabbed his cloak and beat her with several whips to chase her out. On Monday night, the princess ordered her maid to come, hoping that she would be wiser than the previous one so she would be able to sneak into the room without anyone knowing. But the second child was no more lucky. He was grabbed by his coat and whipped and chased out. Now the princess herself sneaked into the room, wearing an ash-colored coat. Tuesday night the prince returned to his bed to sleep. In the middle of the night, the princess believed that the person who wrote the couplet was fast asleep. She hoped that this guy would also say everything when he fell asleep. But actually the guy was still awake. The princess raised her voice and asked, "What does it mean that he didn't and #39 hit anyone?" The young man replied, "A crow ate meat and died of poisoning and then fell dead." She continued asking, "What does it mean to die at 12? Those were 12 robbers. They ate soup cooked with crow meat. After eating, all 12 of them died of poisoning." After hearing the answer, the princess immediately tried to sneak out, but the boy immediately grabbed her coat. The princess had to leave her clothes behind to escape. The next morning, 12 judges were ordered to come and witness the princess solving the riddle. When the princess had just finished explaining the riddle, he asked the judge to reconsider. He said, "Last night you sneaked into my bedroom and asked these questions. Otherwise, I and number 39 am sure the princess won and number 39 be able to solve my riddle correctly." The judges asked the young man, "What is there to prove that?" The prince and number 39's loyal servant brought out 3 coats. When they saw the ash-colored coat that the princess often wore, the judges immediately understood the situation and said, "Embroider brocade on the ash-colored coat, that is the princess and number 39's wedding dress." Thank you for joining us for today's fairy tale. We hope these stories bring joy and meaning to your day. If you love our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any exciting tales. Wishing you a good night and sweet dreams. See you in the next story.